Why? Why did it do that? I'm so sorry, everybody. Um, yes, you lost my audio. So sorry. All right, so I've probably been off for about 3 or 4 minutes. So let me recap where it is that I've been. Man, this is like amateur hour. That is a transition, unfortunately, going on. I'm not too sure why. I need to go back to basics. Remember back in my bird dog days where I had like a system that would alarm when there was no audio? I was using Zen router, and there's actually a Zen. Do I have that on this machine? No. Let's go ahead and get that. There's an audio bar that shows after you said the double mute action. The double. Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't press anything. The only thing I did, which is this. Um, okay, I need to check. I need to check the triggers first of all. On transition, turn on my microphone. That's that one. But on this one, sorry everybody. Like I said, we'll figure out this show one of these days. This trigger doesn't have anything, so I'm not really too sure why it muted something. I didn't actually press anything that would have caused it to mute, unless I bumped my keyboard or something. But all right. Well, anyways, so when I pressed the on the companion setup, it basically was listed as a double mute, and I didn't want to double mute. I didn't need to have that command for some reason. And I don't remember why I would have done that, so I think it was a mistake. So as I was doing redoing these, and I was loading the pre-show for the countdown and for the show starting and the blurry background and all that stuff, I had it on there to mute this microphone and to make sure the music was playing and make sure that it's coming through the monitors and whatever. So there's some checks and balances in there. Well, in there in Companion, I had it as a double mute, which I didn't need to do. So it gave me a chance to really refine those commands, and I spent a little bit of time setting that up. I was able to basically also go through and set up what connections I wanted to happen. And I was going to go over to Zen router. Where is he here? What's that website called? It's in here somewhere, right? Zen. Well, I'll Google it again, I guess. And I'll put in NDI. It's probably still, yeah, ndistuff.uk. There it is. I remember this. Or is it Zen Video? ndistuff.uk. This is what looks familiar to me. So software, and the thing that I want is the audio. There's like an frame generator audio, no audio meters. Okay, so this is what I want, and I can share this real quick. Let me show that. So this is Zen NDI, really cool stuff, and it will tell you if you don't have any audio. So let's go ahead. Where's the download file here? Utilities, flashing, version, Zen software apps. Okay, so we just got to go to downloads, I guess. And Zen, no audio meter. Go ahead and download. All right, this is really cool stuff. And I believe that you can force it to float on top, and then it will never go away. So let's go ahead and grab that. Let's go ahead and extract. This is a really cool tool that is very helpful. Just be conscious that somebody made this. It hasn't been updated in a very long time, but that's all good. No big deal. And then I can leave this on top of my desktop. All you got to do is select your NDI source, and then it shows you a preview of your source. I mean, I can show it to you right here. Shows you a preview of your source, and it tells you if your audio is okay. And so this is perfect. This is where I want my audio. This is my NDI, my vMix output. Whoops, vMix output is here, and it's showing that we're in good shape. Now, if my audio mutes for some reason, I can do that here. It will give me that little timeout. Obviously, you can't hear me talking. But if I do it again, and it actually beeps. There's like an alarm that beeps that goes off. So I don't know if you heard that or not. I don't know if my computer speakers are on through the stream, but it definitely beeps at you and makes you. So this is a great little program. I should probably just put this in the menu bar, just like I have my countdown timer, which is done by Snaz, also freeware. But it gives us a chance to make sure that the audio doesn't just mute on me. So good stuff there. Always highly recommend Zen Router and the other programs that are there. It's just they're just simple NDI routing tools that are very handy to have. Okay, so back to buttons. So it gave me a chance to really kind of sort through what I am using and what I'm not using, and make sure that all of my commands seem to work. Now I spent a little bit of time making sure that things are back, but I want to that back to the way that they were. But I do want to show you the actual software itself so that we can have a look. And then as I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't know what this is, or I don't know how to use this, or what the utility is. I hope that you guys will jump in and say, well, here's what it is, because that's the purpose of this show. So here it is. This is kind of the home screen, as far as I understand. When you install buttons and you launch it, this is the web UI that you get. And you can see I've got my Stream Deck here that I've actually renamed, because it was coming in with like a whole bunch of letters and configurations and stuff. This is just a local Stream Deck, but you can set it as a IP address, or you can set it as whatever. You can also relabel it whatever you want. So this is a 15-button Stream Deck, so I just call it Stream Deck 15. This is on my desk here in my office. Then there is also my connection list, and inside connections, you can pick which modules you want to interact with your device. So you don't have to download all the modules that BitFocus had, which is a change that Companion did back when it went to version 4. Basically said, just download the modules you want. You don't need to download all the modules with our software, because every time we do an update, we're updating a half a dozen modules, but then it counts as an update iteration. So that doesn't make any sense. So instead, just download the modules, and then you can update the modules as you want, which is what, by the way, most installers want when you're doing AV installs. What you really want is the ability to pick and choose when you do your updates, because most places, okay, maybe not churches, maybe not schools, but most places like event centers, lecture halls, a handful of other kind of places that are on contract, okay, theaters, these places are going to have a technician on retainer who manages the actual infrastructure, or they're supposed to, and that person will come in. They'll pay for him to come in for 1 day every 6 months, and he'll go through and he'll update everything, make sure everything's working, fix anything that's broken, and then kind of get them off and running. It's a good little maintenance, recurring maintenance policy. Well, you don't want your devices to auto-update when the technician is not there, because what you want to do is you want to set up the whole system and then like kind of lock it in time. And we don't do auto-updates. We don't do anything like that. We're just going to set it how we want it, and then we're going to walk away. And you're going to, your renters or your venue people or your technicians, they're going to run the show. They're going to figure out how to do it. But then in 6 months, we'll come back and make any changes. Hey, I would really like this button to be on this side of the device, or I want this button also over there on that device, or I want the sequence to do these things. And so they hire the technician to come in 6 months, and he makes those changes. That's how it's supposed to be done. Well, Companion heard of this, must have. And not only did they say you don't have to update all the modules and have them all on the computer that you're using Companion on, but you can also turn off auto updates or turn off the update feature and just update the modules you want at the time you decide, which is exactly how it should be. You should definitely be in charge of your own install. So that makes Companion a lot better. Well, same thing happens here inside buttons. You'll notice that I have certain modules that are running inside of my buttons interface. But inside of buttons, we also have the option to just have the specific module itself, and you get to pick which module you want. Now, some of them, this is fairly new, this program, and so You can downgrade, upgrade, do whatever you want to do from here, but you choose when you do it, which is way better than the other options that I have seen from previous iterations. And as far as I can tell, every module that's available inside BitFocus Companion is also available inside of Buttons. And so there is one thing that I haven't seen, but we'll get to that in a minute, and maybe you guys will tell me where I am wrong. Because, but the modules that are inside Companion, if you're wondering, why would I use Buttons over Companion? Well, if you're using the modules already, they're already in here. So you should be able to download the Buttons program and poke around in there and pretty much build out the same configuration that you had before. All right, now let's just jump into the chat real quick and make sure. Hey, Angus, how's it going? Good to see you as always. Another Canadian friend of mine. You mean they don't want things to just break all the time, all the time on their own? Correct, you are. They actually want them to work for you. So that's great. I'm so happy to hear that that is the stance going forward, because that's the way it should be. And as far as I'm concerned, from a integrator standpoint, for all the integrating I do and the automation that I do, I don't want things to change when I'm done on their own. And that's like, well, I pressed update Windows. It's like, oh, geez, like all that stuff just needs to be group policied and stopped right now. Today's show is indeed brought to you by two of our favorite non-sponsors. First of all, Ember Mugs. Keep your coffee hot and your creamer curdle. It is definitely making a film on the top of my coffee, and it's only been up here for 22 minutes. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully there's not anything dangling from my teeth or lips while I enjoy this nice 125-degree cup of Tim Hortons maple-flavored coffee. Get yours today, Amazon.com. Or at Tim Hortons, if you happen to live in Canada, which a couple of you do. All acceptable. The maple flavor is really good, and it's still 0 calories somehow. So, no sugar, which I'm all about. Now I'm a little subconscious about the coffee film, but anyway, we'll get through it together. Well, you'll watch me struggle. All right, so back to Buttons. Here we go. So this is how I've got it set up so far, and this is very similar to the way that I had Companion running, because I don't know if you remember, not that one, not that one. Hang on here. I've got Companion open on another screen. All right, so if I drop Companion in here, here is that previous. Now, one of my biggest complaints about the way Companion works is I don't think it looks very good. I know it's petty, but man, I don't really think that Companion looks very good. And there's not a whole lot that you can do to customize the way that this looks from what I can gather. Now, it's very functional. And I put up with, look, this is in my own private studio. I'm not showing this off to people. But man, if I was putting this inside of a professional installation, I would hesitate to use Companions just because of the way that it looks. And it's like, well, you can tone down the colors, but it's very, very basic. And one of the things that they fixed with Buttons is they spent time figuring out what it should look like. And there are multiple options on customizing each of the buttons with different text or icons or whatever you want to do. Now, I stuck with a text-based layout inside Buttons. But one of the things I didn't really like was just the way that this looks. I mean, you can customize it kind of, but honestly, it's so stinking basic that it doesn't really look very good. And I didn't want to spend a ton of time trying to figure out how to make this thing look better. I kind of spent enough time on it, and I didn't really want to spend any more. So when I saw Buttons come out, it does give you the option to set up multiple ways of the way things look. And next, we'll actually look at the way that looks. And so here is the interior of Buttons. Now, I've changed my layout here slightly. Normally, it shows up and it looks like this, okay? But you'll notice that the canvas that we have to work with is quite huge. And that's actually on purpose. They want you to build multiple, I don't know if they want you to, but they give you the option at least to be able to build multiple sections, and depending on the device that you have, it accommodates all of them. Okay, so if you have the 32 button, if you have the 15, if you have the new network rack-based strip that goes in, that is also available, and I believe that it looks like this. That's how big it is. And so this idea of design is quite handy. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was very excited with it. I'll walk you through the way that it logically makes sense in my mind, and then you guys tell me how I'm supposed to do it, because that's, again, how this show works. But what I did yesterday is I built just 15 buttons. I built these ones. And I'll zoom in here so that you can see what it actually looks like. The first and foremost is color coding. We can now use black buttons and color code things with a header, which looks much nicer than the way that BitFocus Companion does it, where you have the button sequence on the top as the header. So the first button is position 1, bank 0, 0. Okay, button 0, which in a binary world is button 1, okay? And then the next one to the right of that would be button 1, so 101 is the sequence. Now, I get it. I understand. Quite frankly, it works really well also with an X Keys controller. Like, I have a huge X Keys controller at the soundstage, and it works really well. But this is, like, really not fun to look at. Like, it doesn't look very nice. Whereas when you switch to something like this, it really kind of gives you, it's easier on the eyes, but I can also then see all the buttons that are in vMix are color-coded, which I really like. They're color-coded at the top of the button, and then the actual text is below. Now, the customization is not just limited to this, but inside the button, look at this, you can pick multiple layouts. They can be text with icon, icon only, this context button, but then a black banner with white context lettering with large text, the first one large and the bottom text being a little smaller, and then 2 lines of medium-sized text. So depending on what you need the button to say or do, gives you a good idea as to what how you might customize each. And what's really neat about this is if you pick one format, then if you use one unique other format on a screen like this, it draws your attention to that. Now, the place where I might use something like that is on these buttons, which are actually section moving buttons. So you remember back on my big screen here, I have these, like, lots of buttons on this screen, right? Well, this is buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And technically, this line here is position 4, okay? Position 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Because remember, button 1 is 0. So when you go to program, say you want to move to the sound effects page, which is this section here, what you do is you tell it, when I press on here, assign the surface to the position grid position 5, because button 5, okay, remember 0 is the first one, so button 5 is technically this button right here. So VLC running, which is just a status button for me. So when I press sound effects, that button, it shifts the whole section over then to starting at button 5, section 0, which means that it's at the top and it's on this first button. And it works perfectly. When I press that button, the whole thing moves over to page 2.
Excellent.
And I can press a sound effect, and it works just as I expected to, which is A-OK for me. So, and if I want to go back, I can press this vMix button, which then returns me back to location 0, and I'm not too sure why on the y-axis I'm at 2. Probably should be, oh, I'm sorry, that's not it. Here, grid location 0, 0, which is button 1, which is 0, position 1, which is, again, the first line. So, still have to think a little bit like a programmer, but the buttons themselves look way better. This is something I want to put in an install. This is something I want to add as a panel on the wall for a lecture room. This is something that makes total sense. What's also really cool about this is that you can lock it with access codes. So if you want to require somebody, which you can do in Companion, by the way, but you can design it to look like it has like a passcode. You punch in your code, you hit enter, and it then loads the profile that you are permitted, okay, that your user profile, excuse me, is permitted to use, which again makes a ton of sense because if you were to um, want to use this, for example, in a large install and you have executives and then you have support agents, notice I put them right next to each other. Support agents, then you have engineers and you've got quality assurance guys and you've got yada 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 marketing team and you've got social media people and you've got janitors and you've got whoever. You can give everybody a PIN code that they know that's their personal code and that then grants them access to do certain things that these panels can do. And yet, you can map it all out here inside the program and then just say, if you get this PIN code, load these buttons, load this section. Okay, so you're kind of tracking now. My automation, that spot in my brain where if anybody of you have seen Mr. Robot, that spot in my brain is being itched huge with something like this, okay? It's huge. Just because I'm able to automate this based on the user that's doing it, but also I'm really jazzed up that it looks so good. That I feel like this logically in my brain looks and feels a lot more like how this interactive button business should work. Coffee break. All right. Now, are you guys hearing that beeping? I stopped talking for a hot second, and then let me see if you guys can hear that. All right. It's not showing up inside vMix as going out, so that's good. That's a good little alarm just for me. It's like, hey, you stopped talking. You should probably keep talking. All right. So let's keep moving here inside buttons. So I'm really excited about the way it looks, and I think that makes honestly, it makes a whole lot more sense when you are thinking about using this for installs in professional situations. Like I want to do this at the soundstage now. I want to set this up so that we can use this because we use BitFocus and I don't think it looks particularly great. The function's all there, but I just don't think it looks particularly great. So yes, we can hear light beeping. Okay, well then maybe I will turn down maybe I'll turn the alarm off for now. I don't know. Well, hang on. Let me see what I can do about that. Just because if you can hear light beeping, that's fine. I'm not really too concerned. Just means I have to keep talking, and whatever. Okay. And the timeout. I could change the timeout, right? So let me see how long that takes. Okay, so that's a full-on 5 seconds after the audio drops below negative 36 dB. So if I'm quiet that long, then I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure I'm still live. All right, so let's keep going. Thank you, Sherman. I love the helpfulness here. I love the popovers. I had not used the move location action. Hey, that is cool. So that was the issue that I was having with this is because I needed to create multiple pages. And inside Companion, that's really simple. And maybe it's really simple here. But in my brain, I didn't know how to like add a page and move down a page, just like how it is in Companion. So this gives me the ability to basically jump between sections. And these buttons then I don't have to, I could build out the whole thing, right, on this grid. I could build out all sorts of sections and then just indicate, hey, when I press this button, go to this section. So that I really like a lot, and I feel like it makes a lot of sense. Now I have 3 pages, and you can go with 2 buttons. You can go to 3 pages. All right. So the reason being is on the page that you're on, you don't have to, I guess, but you want to probably get to all of your options. And so I have this main vMix page. This is my main switching page where I do all of my cutting and, everything that I need to do there. Cut, fade, start the show, all that stuff. I even added a couple things here, but we'll talk about that later. Start the pre-show, end the show. I'm not too sure why it says pre-show end. That should probably say post. Here's how you change it. So we would go here and just type in post, and then it's done. We hit apply, and it pushes it to my Stream Deck. So it probably could just say post-show, right? And pre-show at this point. I don't need to signify that it starts. So we can take that off and check that out. It centers it up. Pre-show, I like that better. So that's how easy it is to change this stuff. And then just be sure you hit apply, and it will push it to the device. Now, what's really neat is when I turned my computer on, Stream Deck immediately loaded and showed me these buttons. It didn't have to wait for the computer to, like, for Windows to really boot up and be up and running. Basically, by the time that I turned my computer on, the buttons are up. Now, whether or not they work, I don't know, but Windows isn't open, so it doesn't make any sense. But if the computer's up and running, the buttons will show, which is really nice. I had not used the move location. I like it. Folders is now the new pages. Okay, so I checked out on folders because I started looking at folders and how do I change folders and all of that stuff. And it just didn't make logical sense to me to map it out that way. Whereas and I realize that you get multiple canvases, I guess, if you're using folders. But I don't plan on using this many. Now, famous last words, right? Because I'm going to probably figure out a way to use that many. Whereas the page 1 is going to be all of the section move around buttons. And then you'll probably have a back to home. So you'll always have a go to home, go to the new page. But with this, if you have 3 sections, which I'll explain in a second, if you have 3 sections, then you need 2 buttons on your screen to get around to all the sections. So you have this screen, in this instance, vMix, my vMix homepage. But then if I want to go to the Pro Presenter or if I want to go to sound effects, those 2 pages, I need a button for each of those. Well, then when I click on sound effects, right, I click on this button, it's going to take me to this section here. And so now I need to be able to get back to vMix or get onto Pro Presenter, the shortcuts for Pro Presenter. And if I press Pro Presenter, it's going to take me here. So I need to get back to vMix or back to sound effects. So as your pages, depending on the limitations of your Stream Deck, if you have a 15 button like mine, which is not even the smallest one, crazily enough, but that's fine. We can sort that out. But as depending on what device you have and as your needs expand, and they will, so be thinking, I need to be thinking ahead here because the likelihood that I'm going to get this product and like it enough where then I want to use it more, that should be like the bell curve. The 80% bell curve is you're going to land in there somewhere and then you're going to turn it up to 11. Whereas the likelihood that you're going to buy a product that you've researched and you've really looked into and then you're going to land in that 10% where I hate it, that is way less likely. And so when I purchase stuff, I think, okay, but what happens if I really like this thing and I want to do more with it? Now, that was the mindset of when we built the Dante intercom system. And by the way, I put that up on it was like a church tech website. And somebody said, what are you using for intercoms? I said, I just built the Dante intercom system. It works really well. It's super clear and it's high quality. And somebody disliked it. And I was like, what? I'm not even too sure what's to dislike. First of all, we're like a church tech help group. And second of all, I'm saying this works really well. If you can find it in your budget, I highly recommend it. And somebody was like, meh. Or no, somebody made like an angry face. And I was like, oh, maybe I got like haters out there or something. I don't know. But that is the situation with my Symmetrix Dante system. I still have, I don't know, 70 Dante channels that are open and doing nothing. Well, I did that because I know I'm going to get Dante into my system and then I'm going to love it. And then I'm going to want to IP all the things, or as Dante says, network all the things. And then I'm going to want to keep expanding. Well, if I bought a system that was only 32 channels, I would basically be limited now to 20 more Dante channels and I'll be out. Whereas now I bought something that does 96 channels, both send and receive, and I'm barely scratching the surface of it. So like the CPU power of the Symmetrics unit is only running at, I don't know, 10%, maybe 20% when it's like all up and running. But we have already bought additional body packs. We've already bought additional headphones. We've already done that, and I've only had it for a month. Because you're going to find out, man, I really like this. How do I expand this? So if I were to do this all over again, which I'm about to, by the way, but if I were to buy this Stream Deck again, I would probably I would save my money and get the 32-bit or the 32 button one. Whereas before, I didn't really have any money, by the way. So I broke the bank and bought the 15 button one. But now, as I announced earlier in the show, there's a module option. Oh, wait. Is my audio? Yeah, my audio's okay. Whew, I got really scared there. My mixer was on the wrong screen. But the alarm system I put in place should have notified me that. I don't know why I got scared. So now they have a module version, and the modules are actually fairly inexpensive compared to the Stream Deck device. Oh, and by the way, one of these days, they're going to start selling the network device that enables the modules to be plugged in via PoE and then to be deployed anywhere in the network, which, by the way, also means VLAN and also means not so much VLANs as it means, well, it does mean VLANs, but it also means VPNs. So now our buttons, if a VPN fires up in a remote location, can talk back to the main campus and pull those. But remote production just got a whole lot easier. A whole lot easier because it's all network based. The options for integration, I mean, Stream Deck is just knocking it out of the park. And my comment was, I wonder what Xkey's response will be. And I know we're on a little bit of a sidebar here, but just bear with me. I hope Xkeys comes back with an answer, with here's what makes our Xkeys better than that stuff that was announced. And like I want to see it happen. I love my Xkeys device. I use it every single day for DaVinci. I use it for, well, mostly for DaVinci at this point, but I use it for making my video editing stuff that I do for my job a whole lot faster. We also have an Xkeys device that is running our video switcher. So it talks to over Companion. It talks to our Constellation ME, our 2ME Constellation device. It talks to our, it's going to talk to our intercom system. It's going to do all of our record, like I press the record and it turns on the ISO recorder. There's a lot of stuff that's integrated into that Xkeys. And my question is, first of all, Xkeys has to come up with something better, and it has to be cheaper than what... It doesn't have to, but I think it needs to be cheaper than the new Stream Deck stuff. The reason is that then it's like, we're better and we're cheaper. And then it becomes one of those like, I really like the Stream Deck stuff, but I could get lots more buttons for this. And granted, the 80-button Xkeys is the same price as the 32-button Stream Deck, right? Close to it. But you get more than twice as many buttons. And so my question is, and I doubt we'll see anything at NAB in April, but my question is, in the coming year or two, what will be Xkeys' response? Now, my only hesitation with that is Xkeys is under brand new leadership. All the people that were there, that were the hardcore team for ages and ages and ages in Grand Rapids, Michigan, all the people that ran Xkeys, as far as I know, the OGs are all gone, including many of the technicians and engineers. I don't know what happened. I don't know why this has happened. I'm not too sure. But what will the response of Xkeys be? I'm not really too sure because I don't even know really what the flavor of the new leadership is. And so maybe they're going to compete. Maybe they're going to be ambitious and compete, more ambitious than the previous leadership. Maybe not. I don't really know. So more on that soon. We'll see kind of what happens. But, man, Stream Deck has been killing it the past couple of months and year with the introduction of buttons and then also these modules that I was talking about. Folders is just a different workflow. Oh, cool. I need to investigate more into it, I guess, is what I need to come up with. There's always someone who won't like what you're doing. It's true. I'm not too sure why that is. But, you know, That's fine. I didn't like lose any sleep over it. I was just like, that's strange. Why are you frowny facing that? It's cool. I thought it was cool. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm I know I'm a strange guy, but maybe I'm strange for really liking the intercom system that I've used the other ones. I've used ClearCom. But the beautiful thing about the one that I built is it's 1/4 the price of a ClearCom system to start, right? The brain of the one that we were looking at was 40 grand. All right. Actually, it wasn't 1/4. It was like 1/10 the price. By the time you get all the belt packs and all that stuff, the belt packs are practically on a per capita basis, the belt packs are the most expensive part because they're Dante enabled. Ember mugs. Keep your coffee hot and your creamer curdled. Hey, Ember, if you actually ever want to be a sponsor of my show, and there are stranger things that have happened in the world, let me know, and I will change my slogan for you because I know it's not flattering. Okay, here we go. Back to buttons because this is the jam right now. So I really like. Overall, I've really been impressed. The way that it looks is a whole lot better. I love the color-coded thing, okay? I'll zoom in here so that you guys can see this a little clearer. But you'll notice I've got vMix, right? I've got just a general audio button, which actually mutes my audio bus that runs this microphone. And then I've got Elgato buttons, which show the status of my lights, which I'm not too sure if it's working or not because they haven't disconnected from the internet recently. But also a lights button. Now, here's an issue that I'm having. That lights button, I want it to be green like the other ones when the lights are powered on. But I can't for the life of me get the feedback button to work and to say when the lights are on, change it, and when they're off, turn it to this. So when I press that button, I want the background to turn green. Well, I go down to feedback, and somebody tell me what I'm doing wrong here, okay? Somebody tell me. Feedback, and we're going to say Elgato. We're going to say power status. When power status is on, I want you to change the context background. I don't really want you to change the context background, but the background color to this, not that one, to this green one? Yeah, to this green one. And if we test it, okay, that works. So if I hit apply, the lights are powered on, are they not? If I turn them off, it doesn't light up green. So I turn them on. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not really too sure. So maybe somebody tell me what I'm clearly doing wrong because that should definitely show up. Now I shouldn't have to invert it, right? Because that would mean when they're not on, turn it green, which is what it thinks it's doing. So the state of this is currently on. When power status is on, change the button. I don't need to change the text or anything like that. But clearly it's not working. Okay, so that's what I want it to do. So when I turn them off, it goes black like that. When I press it on, it should have a green background. It does not do that. Maybe the power module isn't reporting in. I'm not really too sure, but I can't figure that one out for the life of me. Whereas it does work in Companion. So maybe we go to connect. Yeah, let's go ahead and save these changes. If we go here, is there another module? No. And here, no other module. So feedback, power status is listed as a feedback option, but it does not give me the option. It's not working. It's not reporting in. The other question you might say is, well, John, is it reporting in the Control Central software? And it is. So maybe it's because that's running at the same time that it's not letting that command come through. I don't know. More investigation will be needed. Now, one of the things is my sound effects run off of VLC. And here's a change, by the way, that I made for the sequence. You may remember that when I play a sound effect, okay, let me just do one here.
How do you sleep at night?
Did you hear that? I hope you heard that. Let me scroll again. I think you did because I heard it in my ear.
How do you sleep at night?
I'm hearing it, but are you hearing it?
How do you
Oh,
sleep
yeah.
at night?
Yeah, you're hearing that. Okay, cool. Good news. Okay, so VLC is a great little free program. If you don't know anything about it, you should look it up because it's been around for ages. But VLC is the module that I'm using to play my sound effects. And what it does is it loads a file into the VLC playlist, plays the file, and then clears the playlist. Okay? So I want it because there isn't a module inside Companion that plays an audio file. Okay? Whereas Stream Deck has one. You can load the whole screen with sound effects natively inside the app. What you have to do here is you run VLC. Well, first and foremost is if my sound effects are going to work, VLC has to be running. So I have a button that actually tells me, it is a button, actually tells me it's just a feedback button. It says when the connection is connected, show that vMix or VLC is running and change. What's the context color on this? I could just change that, but set the context color to green or green to orange and the background to kind of like a burnt orange and change the text to running. And then if it fails for any of these reasons, leave the context color, but change the background to black, much like I want the lights button to do, right? So let's go ahead and kill VLC. And when we kill it, it should report in that it is off. Oh yeah, and change the text to off. So VLC is now listed as off. So if I reload VLC again, boom, now we're up and running. So VLC runs in the background. It does not, I don't leave it full screen. I don't need to see it. But then when I press a sound effect button, here is the sequence for that. So we have my trusty dusty air horn. We've labeled it something. We go down here and say, okay, when I press the button, I want you to turn off the loop. Okay, I don't want this sound effect to loop over and over and over. That would be very annoying. I want you to clip this path. This is where this is the actual file pathway to the device. And then when I release the button, I want you to play it. I want you to wait 5 seconds, and then I want you to clear it. And what that does, it keeps the playlist empty, essentially. But you can just set this for however long the sound effect is. So if, for example, we want to, I'll show you this. If we want to play the air horn, it's a 3-second clip. So after 5 seconds, cleared, which means that it keeps that nice and clear. And it means that I can play sound effects whenever I want, which is...
How neat is that?
It is pretty neat. All you need to know is the duration of your sound clip, and then you set it for 1 second longer than the sound clip, and then it will clear it every time. So now when I click on these buttons, I can play all of these sound effects, and it's no big deal. Keeps VLC nice and tidy. Now, the other thing that you'll probably notice is that on this page as well, I've copied that button that showed me if VLC is running. And so it's, like I said, it's one of the only things that has color on this screen. And so it draws my attention. If I look down at my sound effects page, it draws my attention to the VLC status right away. Whereas my folder buttons, which are on the left and right bottom, then I can jump back and forth really simply to getting to and from my other screens. So the little feedback commands that show you the status of things is very helpful because you can definitely, and this is an option inside of Companion as well, but the fact that they integrated it here and that the signal can be that you can just change the background color of the button is highly desirable because, and also the text, by the way, because again, if I kill VLC, it will say VLC off or program off, or I can set it to say whatever I want, and that way it keeps it very, very straightforward. Now, I'm very interested in those rack-mounted strips because not only can you set them up to be scrollable so that you can scroll across buttons. So say I have a row of buttons, but I know I need buttons, further on. You can turn the dial on the rack-mounted, basically Elgato Stream Deck, rack-mounted Stream Deck, and scroll over. And you just turn the dial, physical dial, and it scrolls the buttons over. And then it just moves all the functions along, and you hit the one that you want. Okay, let's just do this.
That's pretty neat.
It is pretty neat. But also, you can set up these functions where you can jump around to the sections. Now, I do highly advise you break this up. I had to build and then rebuild, and that's what you do when you discover new tools. Is you figure out a way to do it, and then you figure out how to do it better, and then hopefully you keep doing that. We never arrive; we're always going. So, what you can do inside buttons is highlight a set of buttons. So here's an additional 15, and then it says right-click to create. So if I do this, I can create a section. And now I have section 4, which can be named something. Okay, we can set the name. Oh, here. So section 4 could be some. Now I had what did I have? I had 4 pages when I was using Stream Deck because I just had up and down buttons that could cycle through pages. But we could make this for whatever connection we wanted. Maybe I want statuses on my X32, or if I want statuses on my 4250 or things like that. Those modules are in here. Now, I'm not too sure what options we have for those. Let me just look. So X32 has a lot of feedback options, but also there are a lot of actions as well. So X32 could probably benefit from having its own page. And the 4250, which is this up and running? I don't have the right IP address in here, I don't think. However, you can turn on and off PoE. You can power cycle PoE. So maybe we've got a camera that needs to be power cycled after firmware updates. Push a button and on your Stream Deck, and it will power cycle that port. Amazing. Or if we need to reboot the switch, maybe we have a lot of cached information in there, or we have a maintenance sequence where I know I'm going to need to reboot this switch every 6 months. I can just program it in a button. I can program it in a button that if I'm the installer, only I have access through a pin code, which is a maintenance, setup. That would be great. You'd be able to, maintain your network devices strictly by just integrating it into buttons. So there's that option as well. So here we can create a section, right-click, say section, and then we can build out our buttons as we want them. Now, one thing to note is that it always assigns us like a color. I tend to turn that off just so that I can make these whatever color I want them to be. All right, and this is section 1, vMix control, and then VLC is next, and then the last one is ProPresenter. Another thing, so the change with the audio option here was that you might remember when I had Companion, I would press a button and it would load the sound effect, and then I'd press it again and it would play it and clear it. Now I'm using the press and release function for both of those things. So now I don't have to press it twice. It's just all written into the same sequence of when I press the button, if I hold the button, it will load the thing, and then when I release it, it will play the thing.
That's a problem for future Homer. Man, I don't envy that guy.
So that is an easy way to keep it clean, keep it moving. So sound effects are solved inside of Companion or inside of BitFocus with the utilization of VLC, which quite frankly, I trust a whole lot more than some sort of third-party app, but that's how that works. Okay, so sound effects are a great little add-on. And then I did have a ProPresenter screen on my previous Companion, BitFocus Companion setup. The problem is when your words get a little bit too long in this, so ProPresenter is a little bit too long for the context title, it scrolls them back and forth, like it rolls them back and forth so that you can see the whole word, which is fine. But if you have like the whole page full of them, it gets a little much. Now, perhaps if you had a whole page full, then you would maybe just leave it purple and no title, because ProPresenter is purple, right? Especially because on here, ProPresenter is listed as group purple, sound effects is listed here. So we know that blue is vMix and green is Elgato. We wouldn't necessarily need to have context titles for every button. You could just make them purple, and your people would probably get used to them pretty fast. But in this instance, ProPresenter was too long, so I went with ProPre 7, which is the program that it is, and that stops it on the screen from toggling back and from like scrolling back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, which is nice. But I also then copied and pasted, which is something you can do. So we can drag and copy buttons and then paste them anywhere on this grid. Boom. And it literally copies those buttons and puts them there. So then when I go to page 3 or section 3, those buttons also appear there. Now, they're different buttons. They're not tied to the original button. So if I make a change on the original buttons, for example, that lighting background change, that's not going to be here on feedbacks. I'm going to need to make this change, copy this button, and then copy it to any of those ones that I had done before. So we got to paste it here somehow, why can't I? Oh, because I have to delete it. That's the other thing. You have to delete this button and then paste the new button. Okay, and now you'll notice that the power status stuff is there. But there you go. Wowzers, that air horn is loud. Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to wake you up and get your attention. Hopefully I didn't interrupt any meetings. Just kidding. I could figure out a way to turn down the audio on that sound effect, but not there yet. Not there yet. Hey, when my words get too long, it's because I'm being snooty. Oh, dear. Hopefully you don't feel that way when I use big extraneous words. That I'm not trying to be snooty, I promise. I'm trying to appear more intelligent than I actually am. Which happens all the time, right? Anyway, onward and upward. So when we create a section, then we can create our new buttons here, and then we can just create a jump button that would tell us, hey, I want you to jump to that screen. Now, in this instance, I might do something where I would move this audio button, which you can cut, by the way, and you can then paste here in the audio tab. So if I want to paste it here, now this is not so much a sound effect section as it is an audio section. But if I needed to create a third button to jump to something specific, then I could do that. And what's really neat is you can copy a button, right? You can paste the button, and then here we can just change what we need to change. So instead of here, when I press this button, I want you to go to grid location, not 10, but I want it to go to, what is it, 0, 1, 2, 3. So we want to go down to 3 and button 0. So now, we change this to not pro-pre, but let's just call it other for now. And we'll give it a color because context background color, something we're not using. Maybe this nice hot pink. Nah, let's use like a red maybe. Nah, red means dead. Let's choose, what else we got here? We're using purple, maybe like a dark aqua. That's too close to the VMix. Oh man, am I out of, oh, here we go. We could just use like a gray. All right, gray is fine for other because, it's just another. All right, so then if I push this, I hit apply, those changes take place on my Stream Deck. And now if I press that button, boom, I am on a blank screen, which is this section right here. So if I want to create, let's go ahead and copy these two buttons because, let's copy these two because always be good to have these as an option. And I hit paste. And also this VMix button, I want to copy this one and put it here, paste, and then I'm just going to hit apply. And now they appear on my Stream Deck. So now I can jump back to that main screen. So what's amazing, what I love about this, especially with Stream Deck, is it's so fast. Like to make the changes, you push apply, and they change. Like there's no problem. And this section jumping idea is not the folders thing, but it definitely is an easy way to kind of keep things nice and tidy. One of the last things that we probably should mention here is all of these buttons. When you make a button, it goes in on the list as button. Well, you may want to change the name, and you do that over here. So this is pre-show, right? Pre-show button. But we can just say pre-show. And now, here on the left-hand side, actually changes it to... Now, I made all these and then realized after I made all these buttons that they're all named button. So lights on, lights, power, something like that. I made all of these and then there was like button, 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 button. I was like, oh boy. So instead, you can change the name of the button here on the top right corner, and then you get recording. This is the vMix record button. So if I press that, vMix starts recording locally. It would be very helpful to have these labeled properly as you're implementing them, so that you can look on the left hand side and say, okay, I'm in section 1. I need to change the pre-show button. You can click on there and brings up all your options, and it highlights the one that you want to use. Because you may not be labeling them as clear as I am. You may have a different system that you like to use. So this is a great little shortcut to, hey, this is going to be like the key light status. Key light stats. Key light stat. So that I know really easily where I am in the install fill light stat. And then, it's an easy way to keep it organized. So just be conscious when you are building it out to kind of do all the work as you're building it. That's one of my suggestions. Be sure that you cover off the basis, because then if you when you get it all done, you push it all live and you're like, all right, we're good to go. Then if you were to look in this file, you'd be like button, 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 button. It's like, oh, geez, like none of these are labeled properly. So as you're building each button, just remember to add a proper title and not just leave it as button. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply. One of the things, too, that we should talk about is what type of things are they able to do. Now, this is where I'm going to rely on you guys to help me a little bit, because I really haven't had much need for much else other than buttons, as you've probably seen. And so here we can right-click and we can create a few things. You can create a button, okay, just with the letter B or right-clicking and hitting the button. You can also create a section, which you've seen me do, where you highlight a group of keys and then you right-click and hit section, and then it will make an actual... I like using sections, by the way, to separate out visually, especially separate out my pages that are going to be on my Stream Deck. So very handy to have to build out sections. You can also shift section. Now, this is not something that I understand much about. I was monkeying around with this yesterday and couldn't really figure out, all right, what is this? It doesn't really have much of an explanation either as to like confirm. Yeah. It doesn't really have much of an explanation as to what is that if you hold that button, it enables another section of buttons? Because if that's the case, and it might be, like you could build that inside here, right? The sound effects inside the shift option. So when you hold sound effects down, it would load that page until you released it. Is that what that is? Because that's kind of an interesting idea. And I would be interested in looking into that more. Well, why don't we just take a quick little look. Here on the right-hand side, right above my profile here, you can see the main page and the shift page. And so if I open this, return button position, what does it do? Like if I copy, for example, sound effects section, if I copy this and I click on this, only 2 ways to find out. It's true. Navigation pages, shift section. See, okay, so shift section, main section is this one, I would assume, right? Although it doesn't show. Let's go down to section 4 and see how it's like being. It is. Oh boy. So if I do this. Hang on. Sorry, the beeping. So if I were to. Okay. So it's a subfolder? Is that what I'm reading here? So hang on, I'm going to push this. I'm going to go to my other page. And if I press it, I don't see anything. Okay. So main doesn't tell me anything yet. let's go back. I need to get out of this. Copy, paste. Now, where did that put that? vmix, it's on the main page. So let's go ahead and apply. Back to the vmix page. So, hey, yeah, there's only 2 ways to find out. Agreed. So I'm here. It says enable scroll. I don't want to do that. I want to go, if I hit apply and I go to that screen, it doesn't actually show me a shift button on my screen. If I press shift, nope. Fascinating. Press this button. Didn't do anything. Has 3 sections. Shift section, main, and shift. So if I put these under shift, all right. Now if I say apply, the shift button appears. I press shift, but nothing is there. Boy, this is confusing. From the tutorial video, the shift section is like a 2-layered regular section, with one big button being the shift button to toggle between them. Okay, so if I'm just trying to figure out how does it even work? Because it's not showing me anything on my Stream Deck. I have it here. It's been applied. It's not showing up on Stream Deck. If I click on this, I may have done something that has basically disabled it. But those buttons that I built are inside the shift button, which is right there. vmix, shift section. If I press it, I want it to go to shift. There is a BitFocus buttons training section. Focus training shift buttons. Companion connections, beginner guide, BitFocus overview, introducing buttons, Stream Deck buttons are here, shift button functionality on GitHub. Nothing there. Did you say? All right, let's go to the buttons website then. And I can show you this because this is it. Here are those strips. And by the way, it's pretty cool that you can set this up. These 2 strips, because of the button software, these 2 strips can work simultaneously, meaning that you can have not only can you have multiple buttons showing the same page, so multiple units, so you can make it as big as you want, or modules or whatever, but you can also have stats and things stretch over multiple buttons over multiple devices, and they'll operate as if they're the same unit, which is totally cool. BitFocus buttons training. Buttons training. Nope. Okay, so it's not. They got it on their website or something, like applications, features. Here's the price. Look at this. Position 1 operator, position 2, position 3. It's so stinking cool. Training. Here we go. Frequently asked questions. Let's open this on the YouTubes. And then here, overview, licensing, shush. Shift. Hi.
In this training,
Whoa.
We'll continue from where we left off in the previous session, where we looked at the basic section. This time, we'll focus on what sets the shift section apart from the basic section. To create a shift section...
All right, hang on. Because
click and hold the left...
I'm not too sure why it's not coming through.
...mouse button in the cell where you want the section to begin. Then, Drag to select the area you want to include. Once the outline covers all the desired cells, release the mouse button. Now, right-click inside the dashed outline to open the context menu, or simply press Shift+S to create the shift section. At first glance, the shift and basic sections look very similar, but one way to think of the shift section is as a two-layer...
All right, that's what I was doing wrong. So instead of this, let's go ahead and delete this. Yoink. That makes way more sense. We're going to do this and say shift section? No. Okay, so like this. And then if I say apply and I press shift, it should then move it into this section. So let's just have some fun here. And I'm just going to copy some things. Inside shift, I want it to be here. Whoops. Paste. But then on the main page, what the? What's going on here? Hang on. Let me just hit apply. Okay, so I didn't watch that thing long enough apparently because.
Basic section, like two sections stacked on top of each other.
Okay.
Button to switch between them. Under the navigation settings in the inspector,
Mm-hmm.
position of the shift button.
Oh, I see.
Let's look at a quick example.
So that's how you set the position.
More detail in a future video. Presets. In this system, we've connected.
I don't need to know about presets.
Click on that.
Don't tell me about presets. Show me how to do this.
For the final step,
All right.
let's add an auto button here in the shift part of the section also.
Ooh.
Resize the whole shift section so that it's just big enough to hold all the buttons.
All right, but in practicality, how is this working? That's what now I want to.
Final step, as always, we need to apply our changes, either by
Okay.
pressing the apply button or by pressing Command plus S or Control plus S, depending on your operating system. Now,
All right, so I know you guys can't hear this.
access to both the preview and program buttons
Just
on the A10 mini mixer.
curious.
Buttons as possible.
Hang on. And then press the shift button again.
In the next
Stop it.
program buses on the Command plus S or Control plus
All right, so
depending on your operating
here he goes. He's going to click the shift button,
Look at the Stream Deck Studio. We have access to both
and then it switches.
program buses on the A10.
So let's go back then, right? Because that is basically what this is. But how is it building? How is it building the? Let's go pages. Where was the? Yeah, that's fine. Why? Top left, return button position. Top right, button, button, button. And then when we press shift, there should be, oh, something else. I see. These three buttons are here, apparently. So let's go ahead and delete. No, wait. Let's delete these ones. What? Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. All right. Shift section. Main. I'm missing something. Speaking of which, where are you guys at? There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's over on YouTube. Yeah, thank you. Hey, what's going on, Jeremy? How's it going? Welcome, welcome. So I think you missed the part where it showed you how to partition the section for which part changes when you push the shift. Okay, so let me scrub that back because they're already doing it here. He jumped right into presets. So
In this system, we've connected an A10 mini mixer. We want to access both
okay, so let's just see.
while using as few
He says See, we just did the position thing. I don't want to put presets. I don't.
And then let's
Yeah.
resize the section of buttons we just pulled in.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Also, let's add a single auto button. We can switch between pulling.
Okay, so. All right, this is going to require more playing around on, I think, on my behalf because he did like Pro Presenter. vMix, what do we got here? Okay, so vMix, we've got audio, vMix call, PDZ control, mix 1, mix 2, mix 3, all the mix buses, playlist, overviews, none of the stuff I'm really using it much. Okay, transitions, I'm using that. So what if we did this? And then did this. Because there are additional buttons. Okay. So, but, and then on the shift, we can do transition mixes. So like this. And then again, make it smaller there. Okay, so main and shift. Ah, I see. Apply. All right. So when I hit the shift button, that is exactly what it does now. Cool. Interesting. All right. So the basically it's a button to switch pages, which would be another way of mapping out what I've done where I'm moving sections on this screen. That's a third way of managing buttons. But basically, you create a shift button, which is essentially a folder reveal. And so if I have multiple, well, in my instance, for example, I could change my sound effect button to being a section button, and then the return button would be over here, I guess. When I press it, I'd have to have that one open for return, which would be fine. It's something I could do. But then it just becomes a way of jumping between different sections inside. Like you just build them on top of each other instead of building them out. So that makes a lot more sense. I just had my kids set up school with the Stream Deck Control 2 PTZO cameras. Looks like John's doing way more here. This is the way I felt trying to configure my Scarhoy device this week. I got it figured out with help from support, though. Yeah, so you're watching me in real time troubleshoot and map out in my brain how this works because it's a cool idea. And on my Stream Deck, now I can press a button and also scroll. I can scroll over. How do I scroll back? Oh, there. So I just keep pressing this 3 dotted button, and it scrolls like this. I'm not too sure why these are blank. Big empty blank. But it scrolls. It goes around in a loop. So that's cool. Like if you have too many buttons, then you would have that next button that would change. That would scroll them over, which makes more sense when we're talking about the 1U installs. Right, so we're putting in those button devices, these guys, and this is kind of the idea that I want to do for my desk in my new office is something like that, or something where these modules, which are amazing, these modules. Let's see if we can find those products. I guess we need to go to Elgato's website for that, right? Elgato. So here is Elgato products, and this is going to be under Stream Decks. Now, modules. Check that out. Isn't that so stinking cool? You can buy this custom. That device is 100. That device, which is the same module that's inside my Stream Deck, is $130. But then you could get the X Keys 32 for like $200. Isn't that thing so cool? Look at this. Yeah, that would be so stinking fun. Now I would probably break it, and also I'd have to buy a 3D printer. But this would be such a cool idea as to like you could build a desktop unit that had them laid in nicely. Even with other things that you use, that you could customize it and make it all work. But anyway, that's so stinking cool. I love that so much. The module design, I want to know where to get one of these, where you can build these desktop units. I mean, if you're going to go to this extent, then how much is this guy? You know? Not really too sure how much. What? $900? Why? That's not required. Now, it is network enabled, which is so cool. But, sorry, I'm getting a phone call here. I need to send it to voicemail. It is PoE Plus, 25 watts. And why is that blue? Okay, PoE Plus or USB-C, depending on how you want to connect it. But I love this network idea. And we can go here and look at those now. Network dock, which is not, I don't think they're available in the States right now. I guess you could buy them straight here. But you hide it inside of your little device and plug your device directly into it, which unfortunately you need a USB-C Stream Deck to do. But then you can plug it in via PoE. It powers it over PoE, and you can plug it in anywhere on your network. So that's so stinking fun. Hey, did you get one of those fancy rack-mounted SDs? No. Wait. I didn't get anything rack-mounted. Oh, because that's pretty neat. It absolutely is pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
So, yeah, my sound effects are actually working. And by the way, Jeremy, welcome to the show. You picked the right one to come to because today's non-sponsor is indeed Ember Mugs, along with little Timmy Hortons coffee. So this is so cool, and it basically goes right into this concept of BitFocus buttons that we've been talking through and navigating through. And honestly, there's so much more that we haven't even really discussed. I'm going to go ahead and delete this section because I don't need it, but I did find out something new. Hashtag Ember Mug. Let's go ahead and delete, confirm. One of the things is, let's save. One of the things that I don't know much about is the routing stuff. And so this, I believe, has to do with the access control, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't have any groups. And the other thing I really want to know more about is the tags, because you can group your buttons based on tags and then pull them up fairly quickly. Like there's an NDI tag, and then it'll show you, any of the things that you have installed that pertain to NDI. SDI, SRT, I haven't even, well, anyways, I'm going to have to install this over at the soundstage and customize those buttons. I'll probably do that next week because we're coming up on the weekend already, and I don't want to start that project on a Thursday. So I'll probably start that project on Monday and go from there. But this will definitely be the next step. Okay, here's my one gripe, and hear me out on this, okay? My one gripe about this is, where's the variable code? In Companion, you can use the variable codes to display things like movie timers, music timers, any sort of like active feedback, right? So if we go over to BitFocus Companion and we say variables, we can pick from, especially in like ProPresenter, we can pick like countdowns, and we can pick a whole bunch of things that will feedback onto your Stream Deck device. So where am I not seeing it? Where is that? What is that called now? And maybe it's a video that I haven't watched. Folders, popovers, routing, sections, connections, surfaces, licensing. Where is that? Because I actually think that's a major thing. Having the feedback from your connections showing directly on the device is a major part of why Companion's so great. Where is that in buttons? Am I missing that? Is it not there? Which I really don't want to admit, but like, where are there are variables here? Oh, have I just missed it totally? Maybe I've missed it totally. And the other piece then is, how do I write variables into a button? So if I say connection status, hang on. Okay, this is all good. This is good. I guess I missed the variable section on, I guess I was looking for it here, right? Because I was building buttons and I was like button, and then I was like, where is the option to look up the variables out of, oh, geez. Oh, wait a minute. String, paste, and this is what? Connection? Oh. Connection status, create. Connection status, applied. Am I getting this? Is this wrong? It's wrong, isn't it? It's got to be wrong. Cannot edit and read only. Where current value, the current value of this variable. Initial value, the initial value that is set whenever the element is mounted or unmounted. Type, is it? No. Connection, initial value of ProPresenter. Is that? No, that's not what I'm looking for. So that's one of the things I'm like, all right, where? And I don't see the training, but maybe it's in here in variables. Do you guys have this timed out? This was 6 months ago. Why isn't this variable key? Oh, look at that. Oh, wait, no, that's for making connections. Okay. Adding connections, yada, yada, yada. No, so that did not say anything about variables. Training, sections, folders. What is a popover? This is something I don't know. And I'm not too sure why my audio from this screen is not coming into my computer. Let me find out what's going on here. Not that one. Just give me 1 second. I know. Let's just... It's not even showing up here. Old PC sound effects. Where are you? Sorry, I want you guys to be able to like follow along here without me needing to... All right, this says computer audio. What input is this? Is that... It's not playing at all. Let's just go to... What channel is this? 22. Sorry, everybody. Hang tight. We will figure out... Check. We will figure out why this is not working. Oh. Test. All right, I'm back, and let's see if this is working. Hey-oh.
This small section delivers a big impact, perfect for grouping buttons you want easily accessible without cluttering your surface. To begin, click and hold the left mouse button on the cell where you want your popover section to start. Drag to select the desired cells, then release the mouse. Next, right-click inside the dashed outline and choose Popover. Or simply press P on your keyboard. Either method creates a single button on the canvas representing your new popover. To open the popover, click the button at the end of the section bar. To close it, click it again.
Alternatively, shift-click the popover button directly to toggle it open and closed. To resize the popover section, just grab one of the resize handles. Let's take a look at some important settings in the inspector panel. Rename the popover section to reflect its function clearly.
Okay.
You can choose from several display options. Icon with text, icon only, 3 different text-only styles, icon selector. Browse a library of built-in icons or search for one.
Hang on.
Big impact. Perfect for grouping buttons you want easily accessible without cluttering your surface. To begin, click and hold the left mouse button on the cell where you want your popover section to start. Drag to select the desired cells, then release the mouse. Next, right-click inside the dashed outline and choose Popover, or simply press P on your keyboard. Either method creates a single button on the canvas representing your new popover. To open the popover, click the button at the end of the section bar.
See, this makes more sense
click it
than...
again. Alternatively, shift-click the popover button directly to toggle it open and close.
Doesn't this make more
To
sense than
resize
shift?
the
I don't
popover
understand.
section, just grab one of the resize handles.
Shift, the button is inside the group. Pop
Let's
over,
take
the
a look
button
at
is
some
outside the
important
group.
settings in the inspector panel. Rename the popover section to reflect its function clearly.
Right? Is that what I'm hearing here? Skip this. We know how to customize it. Thanks.
In the text boxes, you can type in the label directly. Expression mode to generate labels dynamically.
Wait, say that again?
Expression mode.
Stop it.
Or enable expression mode to generate labels dynamically.
That's what I'm missing with the variables. It's supposed to be here. Right? Check it out. Why can't I make the text smaller? Cut. Paste. Ah, that's the bee's knees right there. Okay, so randomly, if I push this, which we could do this, I guess, and change this to purple because that's the group. Says that it's connected. Hit apply. Okay, so it's toggling back and forth because the word's too big. They're both... Wait, how is this one working? Oh, connection status. So instead of... Oh. Yeah, that's complicated. So I'd actually rather the script one. Delete. Cut. And paste. What? All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Why? Text. Wait, what? No. Connections. Save. I want to go to ProPresenter. I want to go to variables. I want to copy. Then I want to go to positions. And I want to go back. And I want to go over. And I want to change this. And I want to make this smaller. And I want to paste. And I want to hit enter. And then it says connected. And then I want to hit apply. Nah, now the only thing I don't like, maybe this should be here instead. Paste. Oh. I don't need to set this as the editor. It'll do it for me. Yoink. Interesting. So the other thing about ProPresenter, which I kind of like, is there is a recording status. So that's the piece that I was setting up manually and now have discovered that it is we can just do it based on feedback from ProPresenter. So follow connection status. connection timer. This is if recording is underway, this runs. So connection status connected, follower connection status. I'm not too sure what that is. Feedback, no. Anyways, what I want to find is, oh, did you hear that? That beep? Because now it's probably coming through my speakers. Hang on. Yeah, there it is. And then it turns itself off because it hears itself. That's hilarious. That's all I need. I just need one little beep, and then I'll know that there's no audio. All right. So, all right. Well, that's helpful. Now we know something more than we did before. Let's keep going here.
You can also set custom colors for both the popover button and
Why
the
did he select
You
this?
can also
then?
set custom
Stop it. Popover.
browse variables using the folder icon.
Oh, check that out. All right, so I should listen to the whole thing before, because you don't have to, I was like, well, this isn't very intuitive jumping back and forth like this. But you can click on the variable, which would be this one, yoink, running, parent self time. Let's go to VLC. Look at all this. Yeah, that's pretty neat that we have that option.
That's pretty neat.
It is pretty neat. All right. Wow. Active ports, memory usage, CPU usage, uptime. See, that's a section. Let's go ahead and create this. Let's create. Confirm. If I do this and do this popover section, how do I? Oh, can I not do this instead? 3x2. What if I went this way? That's so funny. Okay, well, all right. Let's delete that. It always builds it to the right. That's fascinating. So I can't really have this here, but I could do this, I guess, and say cut, paste, yoink, and then say popover, and then show, and then do this. This is fun. Button. Here are the buttons for my. So the feedback that I want here on this guy, right, is button context. Nope. Text. I want this to be a variable. I want it to be my Netgear switch. I want it to put in active ports. Wait, did it do it? Netgear switch. Oh, but Netgear's not connected, so let's do something else. Let's do, oh wait, there's more than one? No. Netgear's not. So let's do 32, Behringer X32. And let's put up, oh wow, there's a lot of information here. Fader, fader, fader. So the mix bus that I'm currently using for my microphone, for example, is going to be mix bus 2. So if I search and I just type in bus and I go up to name color fader, name color fader. What if I just want the, let me see here. What if I just want like do they have like a decibel? Because that would be awesome, but apparently not. Maybe they do. If we say microphone, solo, bus selected, input. Yeah, there's probably something in here that would, let's say fader bus 2 insert. And what if I get rid of the word button and say, fader bus 2, just say done? 0 decibels. So now if I change it, and does it do it in real time? Does it? Because I just lowered bus 2. Maybe not. It's not reading anything. It's a cool idea, though. Take the image off. You could have this sort of feedback, like right away. Yes, I heard a beep. Yeah, it's coming through the computers, and so it's coming through the computer speakers, so you will hear it when everyone will hear it when I fail at my job. So if I hide this, and then I can name this like audio, and I could take off the image because I'm not a huge fan of that, and I could remove the main color and the secondary color and all of these as well. And then I could just give it context, which should be white because that's what this one is. So now, if I change this to say audio submenu or whatever, or just leave this off and do this instead. Whoops. Like this instead. And then if we, let's open this, let's cut this and put this here, paste, hit apply. Okay, so now if I go back and I open that, oh, that's so stinking cool. And it actually only, it does like a cool little like do, like it scrolls across. So that's,
How neat is that?
it is pretty neat. I'm sorry you can't see the animation, but when I press it, audio, it goes across and like deletes and reveals the ones underneath. And then when I close it, it puts back my vMix buttons. That is pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
It's a quick way. It's faster. Well, it's probably the same speed, to be honest with you. But this isn't really helping me, but we'll figure out why. These are just labels, is all those are. So if I clear this and I go back to 32, actually, you know what? Okay, it's handy to know that that's where that is. However, what I really would prefer is to actually see, go ahead and save. Go ahead and see the X32, the variables, and to see the actual live data changing, right? This should be a current view of that. So if I change this to 0, then mix bus 2 should be, but is any of this changing live? Like that's really what I want to see, right? I want to see audio levels being manipulated or changing or whatever. All of these are empty. I want live feedback is what I want. This page should be the one that shows us that. So if I say bus, fader, this is just routing stuff. So mix bus fader is at 0. If I change it, does it change here? Because it should. And I'm probably getting quieter by 7 decibels. Let's just change it to something a little less than that. Mix bus fader 2. See, it's listed at 0, but then if I come back, and mix bus 2 is still at 0. So this is that's not what I think it is, I guess. This one says mix bus 11 is at -53. They are cyan. That is their color. I'm not too sure why I would want that. But feedback change from bus change. I don't want to change what I just want to see, like audio level or something, like show me that my microphone is working. That would be kind of neat. To have it right on my screen showing, yep, your microphone is moving, because then I would probably move my vMix buttons to another section and have like a main panel that just showed me my immediate state of things. If I was able to get that kind of that live data that shows, or maybe we should look at the variables in vMix and see if there are audio options here. Stream 1 active, connected. Let's say if we type in bus, what does it give us? Microphone, any of these stats changing in real time? Yeah, I don't all sound, no mic, mix 1. I don't really care that, well, anyways, maybe it's not. But that would be great, like having feedback that showed meters. Look, input, audio input volume meters. So there. So so position, Stream Deck. We're going to open this. And here under feedback, we're going to go to vMix and meters, bus volume meters, input meters. So let's say bus volume, and that's the master. So we're getting audio. I don't wait. Wouldn't, that's strange. Wouldn't it just, there's no like, fascinating. I'll have to think that through. Because I feel like there should be like a when it hits this threshold type of situation, right? Not just a turn it red feedback. vMix, let's go one more time. Audio input volume meters, destination, layers, utility, vMix status, vMix call. Yeah, because so we use this software also for a few vMix calls now. Instead of using StreamYard, I've been using vMix Caller. That seems to work pretty well for me. But it would be great to have on a screen the vMix callers, whether we're getting their audio, like whether it's showing up and going out via, to the correct destination. That would be really cool, because then I could look and say, oh, I don't have Dave's audio, volume meters for an input. Well, anyways, we'll sort that out. Okay, it has been 2 hours since this show began, and I probably need to go and do some work. Look, BitFocus Buttons has really cleaned up the way that I feel about Companion. I finally feel comfortable enough using it using it in an install for others that I would feel proud to leave behind. The last thing we should mention is there's a free tier which allows you one surface and gives you some routing capability, unlimited workflows, basic nodes, unlimited connections. However, for $9 a month, which is what you would $90 a year or monthly, $9 a month, you would be able to have 3 surfaces, 3 different devices connected for a single installation. You'd be able to use NMOS, which is a new like VoIP protocol coming up, and we probably should do a show on that, because I've heard it mentioned about like 3 times in the past 7 days alone. By the way, the legendary Will Waters from Audinate, Dante, he was on Office Hours 2 nights ago, and if you haven't seen his presentation on Office Hours Global, go over there, check out his interview with them. He talks all things Audinate, and he does a great job. So I got a chance to to see that for about 30 minutes after my kids went to bed, and unfortunately the hockey game ended. We lost the other night, so hoping for better luck in the next game, which I think is Maples, Toronto Maps. The next game. Okay, so yesterday. That's not right. They didn't. Wasn't yesterday, was it? The next game is on the 25th, which is today, against the Montreal Canadiens. So 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Leafs are now playing at the same time for the next several games. They play again tonight, and then they will play again on the 27th, which would be Saturday, which is when they normally play. So go Leafs go, hoping that they have a better chance. They did win their first game against the Sens. 4-3 in just regulation. They had to go to overtime and had a sudden death. And they look to be playing similar. However, this is not the official lineup for the team for this season. So they're trying some guys out, trying some lines. So there you go. Enmos is the Dante controller for SMPTE 2110 video. There you go. Okay, so the reason why I bring up Will's name is they asked, hey, everybody's going to this, like, a lot more integration with Enmos. Are you guys doing that? And he just said, not at the current time, but doesn't mean it's not going to happen. He just doesn't have a plan for the immediate future. And he is one of the project designers and planners and managers for the entire Dante fleet. So it's pretty astounding what he knows. So anytime Will Waters is being hosted on a show, it's always worth to tune in and learn something about Dante, which is definitely what happened to me a couple of nights ago. So if you go and look up Office Hours Global, I was actually looking up Turtle stuff because there's an Office Hours Turtle thing as well. Let's see here. So Office Hours. Let's just go to videos. It was a live stream, actually. What? This isn't Office Hours. Get out of here. I want this. Office Hours Global. Oh, I guess I should click on there. Okay, so here he is right here. 500 views already within one day. Really, really informative stuff. Great to learn about. And then about a month ago, I could also mention, about a month ago, Turtle AV, so Eamon and Pav, were on Office Hours, and they were quizzing them about it. So that was really useful information to also learn more about, because there's not a ton of video stuff out there for Turtle, and so I want to help them change that if we can. But they're up and coming as well. They're a startup, and they definitely are doing larger installs, like doing more lecture rooms and not necessarily production, but doing more AV installs, corporatized installs. That's where their Dante world is kind of landing them. So doesn't mean I'm not going to try and get them to be more in the broadcast market, but I think they're just trying to separate from previous employ and go after an appropriate market. And so far, from what I've heard, it's pretty gosh darn exciting. So very anxious to see their products, hear more about what it is that they're doing. Check them out. Turtle AV, always worth your time to see what Eamon and Pav are up to. Office Hours, check out that video from Will, and listen to his conversation with those guys at Office Hours. They always have really good, engaging questions. And check out BitFocus Buttons. If you're using BitFocus Companion, Buttons is basically the pretty version. And if you've only got one on your desk like I do, pretty much the free version will work what you want it to do. Companion will always be free. That was announced a year ago when Buttons was launched. They were like, wait, are we going to a paid tier system? And they said, absolutely not. It is going to be a free service, as always, open source, so that everybody can participate. But then they're taking a lot of the best things about Companion and integrating them into BitFocus Buttons, which is now my thing. Like, I'm using Buttons. That is what I will install when I go anywhere to do automation, work it into pricing or whatever. I wonder I'll have to think about it, but I wonder if there'd be a way to do if I'm an installer, if I can pay for a certain amount of licenses, or, because it's an annual fee, but I would be the one buying the license and then selling it onward. Be interesting to kind of check that out. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for coming along for this trip. It has been a blast to discover BitFocus Buttons. I highly recommend that you check it out if you aren't familiar with it already, and start using it if you are using Companion already. This is a very visually appealing way of organizing your information. Variables are in here. We found that out today, which is a big relief to me because that was a big part of Companion. Some of the feedback stuff that when you press a button, the button should change, isn't working perfectly, but I can live with that for the massive upgrade, visual upgrade that comes with buttons. And so I'm a big fan of that. Really happy that this is real. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed coming along for the ride. So,
How neat is that?
it has been pretty neat, and I'm so thankful that that I stumbled upon this. More on this later on. We will meet again next week, same time, same place, more than likely. I'm hoping to have more news on my garage build. I've been kind of hounding them, and I've gotten a phone call, so hopefully maybe I've gotten a voicemail, and we will find out more about where we're at and when they'll be out. The trusses are here, so it's real, it's happening, and I haven't paid for the trusses, so they're on the hook for those right now to get paid for them. So, yeah, it should be underway soon. I'm really excited about that new office space. It's the more I think about it, the more opportunity. Oh man, it's just gonna be so much fun to be out there. So, really looking forward to that. Looking forward to that project. It's gonna be a labor of love for many years, but it's gonna be great to get that underway and get that started. Thanks for coming along for the trip. Always enjoy having you with me. Take care of yourselves out there. Hey, and let's see if my post show button works. Bye, guys.